Good morning, everyone. Appreciate your patience as we were trying to get some technology working for us. We were going to attempt to do a Skype for broadcast functionality to this pre-proposal meeting for those individuals who possibly couldn't join us in person. But we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Daryl Everett. I'm the procurement manager for construction here for the city of Kansas City, Missouri. And everyone should have a copy of the agenda with you this morning. They're out on the out near the sign-in sheet. Along with the sign-in sheet, make sure you do that as well. So we're going to follow the agenda as provided to you. Today's date is Thursday, July the 11th. We're going to attempt to be in here for about an hour, covering the basic information regarding the KC Detention Center Design Services Project, which is project number 8902-3001-01. And the way the agenda is, we're going to do some introductions for the team members here, cover some brief information on the goals related to the project, and then have a project overview, which includes some history and some scope detail. And then I'll go through the RFQP layout of what's provided in the RFQP. We'll have some time for some questions and answers if there are any. But just to clarify, in order for your question to be part of the addendum, you will have to email me that specific question, and we'll respond to that question. But if there's something that's not too heavy that we can provide an answer to today, we will do so. So I'll just, as I stated, my name is Daryl Everett, and I'll go to my left here.
Good morning. My name is Ralph Davis. I'm with the Public Works Department, and I'm assisting these folks in their contracting.
I'm Josh Bateman. I'm the Deputy Court Administrator for the Kansas City, Missouri Municipal Court.
And I'm Megan Fanninsteel, and I am the Court Administrator for the Kansas City Municipal Division.
Okay, thank you all. So just briefly get into the participation goals for the project. The goals are 15% MBE and 10% WBE. Those firms must be certified within the HRD directory for you to add them as part of your contract utilization plan. Part of your proposal should have an affidavit for intended utilization that you must submit, which outlines which minority women-owned firms you plan to use to help you meet those 15% MBE and 10% WBE goals on this design professional contract. From there, I'll turn it over to my team members to talk about project overview and some other details.
Well, I'll kind of start with kind of the history of the detention center for the Kansas City Municipal Division. So up until 2009, the city had operated a facility out kind of by the stadiums in Leeds. It was called the Municipal Correctional Institution. It housed up to 300 individuals at a time, although there was different pods, and I think at the end when it was closing it was down to about 175 or 200. In 2009, a decision was made to enter into a contract with the Jackson County and to close the Municipal Correctional Institution. That contract was for 150 beds for the municipal court sentenced and detainee inmates. That operated from 2009 until about 5 years ago, and about 5 years ago, the police department had also operated their own detention facility on the 8th floor of the police department building. About 5 years ago, that building that part was shut down as well and was incorporated into the Jackson County Detention Center. So that raised the bed capacity at the Jackson County Detention Center to 275 beds, 100 for the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, arrestees and detainees, and 175 for the Kansas City Municipal Court detainee and sentenced population. As when that contract was entered into back in 2009, the original one, the facility, the municipal correctional institution was torn down and is no longer in existence. When the police department incorporated their 100 beds, that 8th floor was gutted out. Obviously, there is still an 8th floor of the police department building, but I believe it is no longer really usable or feasible to be rehabilitated into a detention facility at this point. Then approximately a year ago, we received notice from the Jackson County government that they wanted to terminate their relationship with the city and the police department. And so ever since then, we've been trying to be renegotiating, and now we're looking for long-term solutions for both the detention facility and for the police department and the long-term sentenced inmates for the municipal court. A little background on the sentenced inmates. The sentenced inmates, because they are municipal ordinance violations, the longest sentence is 180 days, but that is per charge. Some sentences can run consecutive, and so we can have individuals in the facility for longer than that 6-month time. I would say the longest sentence I've seen lately has been about 2.5, 3 years. Although we also, through all of our partnerships, have been working with different drug treatment and mental health treatment. So I think that that's something that we will be looking for into that, is how to incorporate that. And that'll be part of the needs assessment that will be done.
With the background, unless you want to add anything else, what you got in front of, what you all came here for today was actually the RFP that we've put on the street. What I wanted to do was just kind of go over a little bit and maybe emphasize some things. One, this is a request for proposals, qualifications/proposals. We're not looking for prices. We're simply looking for the qualifications. At this point, we're looking for a firm or team of firms that can meet all the requirements that we've listed out. What we're looking for in this request for qualifications. This has been done in sections. So you'll notice that we have eight different sections in there, and this will probably go in phases. And let me just go through the first one: detention housing needs analysis, which is our first phase, which we will enter into first. Provide professional services to determine the size, capabilities, and needs for a future facility. At this point, we want to make sure that it's analyzed. What is our needs? What does it look like? As Megan was talking about, there's going to be long-term and short-term solutions for both the detainees and for those that are held longer. And we also need to look at facilities for behavioral treatment and medical facilities. It needs to be that full service facility. There is a possibility we could cooperate with Jackson County. That is just we have no contacts or anything else at this point. That is just an initial point. Beyond that, we will start to go into a site review process, look at the options, and then at that point probably design, cost estimating, and all those services. So we're not looking at any construction with this contract. I did have a question earlier about construction services. We're not looking for any contractors at this point. This is simply a design and analysis contract. The big thing I would like to emphasize to you is to always stay well balanced with your MBWBs, because this will come out in sections. You will not be awarded an entire contract. The contract, you will be asked to have those qualifications, but your first piece of it that you're actually contracted to do will only be a section. And once the needs analysis is done, then it will be contracted to do further activities. So you can't jump straight to site selection or straight to design. The needs analysis needs to be complete and accepted by the City Council. There is a resolution if you want to look it up. It is 2019-00463. that the city council passed several months ago, basically outlining what they're wanting staff to do with this selection process. So they already expressed their involvement. We do have a new city council that will be taking office. At least 6 new members of the city council are taking office, and the mayor as of the 1st of August. So with that, they could change any of that direction, but we are proceeding with this because this is the directions we've been given. That's the scope. I can go in more detail if anybody wants it. I just kind of skimmed over it, but the understanding is well-balanced proposals, because you will be authorized. I should say you'll be authorized to work in sections.
And I'm Donna Mays, I'm Assistant City Manager for Public Safety, and I would say that needs analysis and needs assessment is really the critical component of this. That's what we've heard, and that's the direction we've been given by council. So that's why we're issuing it or authorizing it in sections, because that needs analysis could very well come back and state that there's some combination of other facilities that we would contract with versus building our own facility. And so I think I want just everyone to be cognizant of the fact that with the direction we've been given by council, it doesn't necessarily mean we will jump in and build a facility. That's why I think Ralph's been cautious about, hey, that needs analysis is very important. I think we will get to that conclusion, but we can't predict that with what council will
We don't want to
direct
jump to
us.
that conclusion.
Right. We just don't want to jump to that conclusion. So that's where getting the stakeholders that are involved and those people that those people that really have key functions within the court and judicial system, as well as the some of the specialty courts that Megan talked about. That will be the important piece for this first section, the needs analysis. Sorry.
John, we good? You want us to continue on?
Oh.
Okay, well, we'll proceed on to the next section of the agenda. And if you have questions about the history or scope, we'll have that section at the end as well. So we'll move on to the RFQP, the packet itself that was uploaded to the city's website, as well as the plan room. I'll go over some high-level items that each firm or team of folks should be cognizant of as they look at the RFQP. As we stated, the project number is 8902-3001-01. It's an RFQP, as Ralph stated. It's not a bid, so we should not see any cost detail submitted in your proposal. The due date for your proposal is August the 1st at 2 p.m. That should be submitted to me, and it provides the location, first floor here at City Hall. You should have 6 copies of your proposal, in addition to 2 flash drives of a digital copy of the proposal that you're submitting in paper. That's section 3 that I'm referring to. Section 4 rolls into exactly what the RFQP packet has in it. I won't go into detail. It's all listed there. But I will say the Part 2 component of our design professional contract, the standard terms and condition, be sure to review that to some degree, because the last thing we want to do is get to the point of negotiating and then some point of contention is some issue within our terms and conditions. The hope is that you look at the terms and conditions prior to submitting a proposal so that you'll know what our standard coverage, standard requirements are as it relates to design professional contracts. Then I'll jump into Section 5 outlines the proposal requirements, all the items that you should include in your proposal. The key thing is you should limit it to 30 pages, single-sided, and also that's the key thing. 30 pages, single-sided, would be the limit on the number of pages. Then the next key area is that Section 10 talks about interviews. if the city decides to have interviews, those firms would be notified on who will be asked to provide an interview, so that communication will be made. The next section 14 talks about closed records. Make sure you can't do a sunshine request prior to negotiations being finalized, so all records are closed related to the proposal, so you can't request any documents related to any firm's submittal on the proposals until after terms are negotiated. And then we've got a evaluation of criteria. This is where the project manager has outlined the key sections of the proposal in order of importance that he would like to see you focus on so that you can have some idea what your proposal details should include. So you want to make sure you pay attention to section 16 that talks about that. As we stated earlier, the minority and women-owned participation goals are 15% MBE and 10% WBE, which is outlined in section 19. And lastly, we're having the pre-proposal date event today, which is July the 11th, here at 9 a.m. So that concludes really the RFQP layout of what was submitted and kind of giving you an idea where you should go to understand what you should and should not submit as part of your submittal. And from there, we'll, the next bullet on the agenda, there will be an addenda that will be issued related to the attendance list and any formal questions that I receive via email related to any information you heard today. So at this time, if there's any questions that you want to ask, either we'll say we can answer them now or it needs to be in writing is the way that that'll go. So at this time, I'll open it up for any questions that anyone in attendance have. Yes.
So if the project moves on into site selection after the needs assessment, is the city going to have identified sites to consider, or would the team be responsible for identifying the actual sites? In other words, would a real estate component be important?
I think that's a factor of the needs analysis to determine what the size of the facility needs to be and what the needs are, which would determine what the size of the site requires. So I think it's all a derivative of that initial needs analysis will drive all those other factors. So at this point, we don't have a list of sites that would be included in this proposal. That would be part of what would be derived afterwards on its own merits.
So do you think that the team that you select would help identify those sites, or once you have the needs assessment and you have the criteria that you need, then you would be identifying sites?
I think the team would help identify the sites.
I would see this accommodation, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'd have input. And the city's always going to be involved.
Well, and if we had sites that we had and, that met that criteria based on the needs analysis, then we'd certainly offer those up, I would think, so.
And Donna, some of what you were saying when the
Yeah, sorry.
was happening, I missed. So you were talking about court facilities?
Well, not court facilities in the site per se, but just engaging those specialty court stakeholders and then and probably legal aid and some of those other some of the people that would be in and out of the facility is kind of what I was talking about. So.
I think I saw another hand. Was there another question? Yes.
I was just curious, and sorry, this is not a short question, but how is this combined with the new Jackson County Jail? Or what will be the crossover there? Will there be any?
I think at this time, we're not sure if there will or will not be. We've been directed by council to keep that open as an option to engage with them and see if there's any additional interest in a shared facility or not. So that'd just be something that we would have to reach out during that needs analysis to see if they wanted to include that or not. So.
Do you think you're looking more for a design partnership, or are you open to owner's rep leadership on this, or do you know exactly what?
This ideal team has the people to do the complete needs analysis. They have the people to help select the site, then they have the people to do the design. If you go down the bullet points, that's what we're looking for.
I have one in the back here.
Thank you. Are you predisposed to any type of procurement with respect to construction, design build, hard bid, CNAR, when you get to that point?
I think that's part of the, that's part of the consideration that will need to be done.
Yes.
So it says in the scope of services that one or more firms can be selected. Are you going to pick one team or more than one team? If you're picking more than one team, how do you decide who's doing what?
That's our standard language.
I do that all the time.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, just as a reminder, if you have a question, be sure to email me. It'll be part of the addendum to make sure everyone gets the same answer to that question. Anything else we missed?
What's the deadline for submitting questions?
It'll be 7 days. Let's see, what did we say? Normally it's 7 days prior to, actually 5 days prior to August 1st is where we want to have any addenda issued, 5 days.
So the questions should come in.
Here real soon. Let's see, hold on one second. So by July the 25th, we should have all questions submitted that'll have an official response to them. Any other questions? Good. Okay, thank you once again for joining us here at this pre-proposal meeting. Have a good afternoon.